like to call Q. Hey, man, coming in. I would like to call to order the March 11th, 2026 meeting of the Committee on Finance, Audit and Budget. Georgette, will you please call the roll?
Director Eady?
Here.
Director Jakes?
Here.
Chairman Barclay?
Here.
Director Ortiz?
Here.
Director Cahill?
Present.
Director Ja?
Here.
Director Jakes, you do have a quorum with 6 members present.
Our next order of business is the approval of the committee minutes of February 11th, 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the minutes from February 11th, 2026 be approved. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Eady?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Raquel?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Our next order of business is the finance report. Tom McCone.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Morning.
Morning.
To take you through our February financial results, jumping ahead a month. So we'll start here with system generated revenues. So first month of the year, so first month of our fiscal year as well. So we're only going to have months to date. Today.
On the system generated revenue side of things, you can see here fares and passes coming in a little bit better than budget. We had slightly higher ridership than we expected in the budget, which was good to see in the month of January. And you can see the results reflected there in the fare and pass revenue that we're seeing coming in. Non-fare box side pretty much coming in right at budget. It's going to be a little bit below where it was last year because we have a little bit less investment income as we're drawing down reserves, but total for the month, good way to start the year, about 400,000 positive to budget.
Tom, excuse me. I'm Tom. Okay. Yeah, as well as about to pass it.
The numbers to go along with my description. Okay. All right, on the expenses side of things here, you can see most categories coming in pretty much where we expected them to be. A little bit off as we had some weather impacts on the material side of things. So material slightly negative to budget because we used a little bit more at the start of the year as part of the adjustments made to the additional snow and cold that we experienced in January. Fuel and power, fuel is pretty much on budget, kind of using what we anticipated for the month, coming in at a price that we had budgeted for. The power side of things, we're getting better pricing than we had anticipated. So we've locked in our pricing and we got some additional credits from ComEd. So that's providing positive variance on the power side of things. Security services coming in above the budgeted level. That's the impact of the additional police and private security that are out on the system. Other expenses pretty much flat to budget. So total operating expenses, 2.8 million negative to budget. Consistent with how we might expect to start the year there, and nothing really to be concerned about. Public funding, so we're wrapping up our collections for 2025 and then starting our collections for 2026. So what you can see here is we continue to see really healthy sales tax collections in the final months of 2025. So here you see those November results coming in strong. So those, as you remember, in 2025, sales tax results came in strong throughout the year. So we didn't see that diminish in November and December. So you're going to continue to see, we have one more month of collection to report upon in December, but you're going to continue to see those strong results in December as well. Year to date so far, in terms of collections, we're seeing more closer to budget. So that's what you're seeing here in terms of the funds that we're receiving there on the public funding side. So we look at year-to-date collections. We're looking at 2 different years, 2025 here, again, showing 133 million favorable to budget. That was a little bit better than we had actually forecast, knowing that it was going to be ahead of what we had initially put in the budget, coming in even stronger than that. And then year-to-date on the 2026 budget, coming in pretty much where we projected it, slightly under budget, but we anticipate catching up with that in the remainder of the year. On the commodity side of things, no changes in terms of what we've made our advanced purchases for, but good to note here that we have locked in our pricing for both power and natural gas, power through 28 and natural gas through 27. So that helped us avoid some of the impact and the spike in natural gas pricing that we saw with the extreme cold. And then likewise, we've locked in as much of the fuel as we had anticipated for 2026. We probably won't be purchasing any 27 fuel anytime soon, but we'll look for some opportunities hopefully later this year to be able to do that. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Under the unfavorable for materials, have we been impacted by tariffs?
You know, we've been watching the pricing closely, and we have been able to make some adjustments to help offset some of that pricing. But sometimes it's hard to tell because the whole market shifts upward. And we've been in periods of inflation. So we have seen inflationary impacts. It's hard necessarily to break them out in terms of which of these are coming from tariffs, which are not. Most of ours are produced domestically, so they're not subject to tariffs. We have seen one-off instances where we have seen some tariffs come in and sort of impact what we had anticipated for the pricing.
Right, and then it wasn't in the presentation, but I want to circle back to last month or month before last, the selling of the bonds. How did we do?
Yeah, so this was authorized by the board in January. We went ahead with the bond sale and priced that on February 5th. So in advance of that pricing, obviously reached out to investors, got some ratings on the bonds that we were issuing. These are sales tax bonds. So we had one upgrade at the end of last year in terms of our credit rating. Two of the agencies moved from a negative outlook to a positive outlook. That highlights the benefit of us using our line of credit and waiting till the fiscal cliff was resolved to improve our credit standing. So by the time we went to market, we were seen in a little bit more favorable light by the ratings agencies and by the investment community. We were able to issue the bonds, no problem, right? Kind of 7 times oversubscribed in terms of the interest in the bonds. We came at a relatively favorable week. It was before some of the geopolitical activity that has impacted interest rates since then. The interest rate we received on the new money was all in 4.89%, which was lower than the 5 to 5.25% that we had modeled. So we will get some savings off of that. We actually shortened up a little bit the period of time in which we're going to carry capitalized interest to give us a little bit of savings as well. And then we saved about $5 million on the tender refunding. So refunding some bonds for a little bit cheaper rate. So all in all, really good. So we got the project funds when we closed on the 18th of February. So the transaction is complete and we're using them now.
Good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
So we got in just in time.
It worked out well, right? It worked out well for our timing coming to market.
I have no further questions with it.
Questions from other members of the board? Director Ja? Director Akeo?
Good question on the unpaid rights. Last month, we started to change the methodology on how we count people who use our transit system, which allows us now to have a better sense of people who pay and don't pay. Could you tell us more about what we're learning through this improved way of tracking unpaid rights?
Yeah, so and I'd invite Molly from planning to come up here as well, since they're in the weeds of the ridership information. But I think from what I can tell, it's giving us much more detailed information about sort of where our ridership demand is. And so we're able to break that down more granularly, right? Rather than just having an aggregate sort of multiplier on top of it, we're actually able to get down to the route branch level in terms of where that ridership is occurring, no matter sort of the form of payment or non-payment that's happening.
And in your first slide that you showed, it shows a significant increase of those unpaid and at the bottom, the free rides, not unpaid rides, 1.5 million higher than last year. That is not that $1.5 million, or sorry, 1.5 million people more. Is that we're counting them better and now we know better, correct?
Correct. We're more accurately counting the rides that are on the system. And so that's what that's reflecting, is a more accurate count of those, what are unpaid rides, because they're free rides. So they're in that category. And then that then impacts the average fare. So which is why the average fare is slightly lower than what we had originally budgeted.
Got it. What was interesting to me too is for the public to understand too that free rides include both the rides that we have to provide for free, because we have a commitment to provide affordable rides to many of our riders, and also people who should have paid but didn't, right? And on that front, do we have an estimate of the amount of money that we lose every month to those who should have paid but didn't?
I would like to get a better calculation and get back to you on the specific amount of revenue that we would estimate from that. As you know, as you indicated, right, we have a number of statutory categories that we have to provide free or reduced rides to, and those make up the bulk of the free rides that are in this category, right? So free seniors, free disabled, other free categories as well that fall into that one. Folks that are, if there is non-payment, right, and we don't sort of capture that tap, we have to think about sort of what fare category they would fall in necessarily. And we do have a lot of reduced fare categories. So it's not necessarily that you'd be losing a free fare. You might be losing a lower fare, like a student fare or something like that.
Hello.
How's it going, Molly?
Hi, Molly Poppy, Chief Planning and Innovation Officer. So that is right. What I would say from just sort of a high level estimate, about a quarter to 20% is sort of this unpaid or fare evaded ride. The remaining 80% is statutorily free rides. And then I know Director Requejo, you were asking sort of what we've learned. I think a couple of things we've learned from how we've been modeling and counting free rides and tracking these unpaid rides is we are learning that ridership continues to grow on a lot of routes that really we were kind of assuming were flat or even declining last year. And I think that that's been really important for us as we think about how we are making service investments, making sure that the service investments are following where the riders are and ensuring that the investments that we're making are benefiting the riders. So I think that that's been really important for us, that we had routes that we thought maybe were growing at a much slower pace or weren't even growing at all. And as we've looked at the unpaid rides, we see that those routes are actually growing and people are utilizing and leveraging those routes.
So just to clarify, of those unpaid rides, we know that about 20%, so only 1 in 5 is due to people not paying for a ride that they should have paid for.
Right. Yep.
And in many cases, those folks would have qualified for a reduced rate.
We believe they may have. I think the important thing that we've talked about with this board and that we've talked about with RTA as well is CTA does not have a low income reduced fare program. We have a student fare program, we have a senior free program, and we have a reduced fare and free for people with disabilities. We do not have a low income program. So recently, Metra has been piloting what's called the Access Program, which is a reduced fare program for individuals on SNAP that is not available to CTA and PACE right now. We are working to try to expand that to CTA and PACE, and I think that's an important step as we think about ensuring that folks are tapping and ensuring that individuals have access, making sure that we're looking at potential barriers on our side and addressing those barriers on our side first before we potentially take sort of further punitive measures.
And that's what I'm trying to get at with, because I really appreciate first that we have a better sense now of what the amount looks like. And also it allows us to also understand how much money are we losing. And the first reaction is not necessarily, let's just put barriers out there, invest millions and millions on those things. Let's start with what are we missing in terms of making our fares more affordable. So thank you both for the explanation. And as we get better data on this, I would love to explore those options to make our fares more affordable.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Director Ortiz,
No questions, thank you.
Chairman Barclay,
Questions?
Director Eady.
Well, you addressed on the other day, how the fuel costs are going to be impacted. And I commend the fact that 75% 2026 volume has already been acquired. How do you, or have you made any projection in your mind in light of our recent events, the 25%, how severely will be impacted in any way?
No, it's tough to say. So we'll go back to 2 slides here. One is our fuel line, right? So you can see here, we spent about $4 million on diesel fuel for revenue operations in January. That's pretty much what we had budgeted for. And then on the commodity side of things, right, we've fixed in 75%, which is about what we usually fix in on an annual basis. So right now, just to give you a sense of the prices that we have, the price, that 75%, the price that we have for that's about $2.66 a gallon. So $2.66 a gallon is pretty much locked in for that 75%. The spot price that we were currently looking at, kind of looking at this week, is $3.07, right? So that's the increase that we've seen in the price of fuel, especially diesel fuel. So we're exposed on that 25% that would be paying that $3.07. It's not huge, right? So you're talking maybe 1 to 2 million off of a $40 million budget that we could potentially, if that pricing level were to persist, that 25% would expose us to in terms of a negative variance. But on the flip side of that, if we didn't have that 75% that was locked in, right, we might be looking at close, between $5 and $10 million additional that we'd be paying if pricing were to persist at the current level. But as we know, pricing is very unpredictable at this point. So it's hard to tell kind of where those fuels are going to ultimately end up. But at least at this point, we have confidence pretty much with what we're going to be paying this year.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions.
Go to agenda item number 4. Thank you. Agenda item 4 is the review of an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real property located at 2718 West Street, Georges Court, Chicago, for the All Stations Accessibility Program. Blue Line, Bill Mooney.
Morning, Bill Mooney, your Chief Infrastructure Officer. Staff recommends approval of an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property located at 2718 West George Street in support of the California Blue Line All Stations Accessibility Program project. As part of the design for the project, multiple parcels were identified to facilitate the installation of the new elevators, expansion of the platforms, and the addition of a new emergency exit stairs. One of the impacted parcels, 2718 West George Street, has been identified for acquisition. Staff have negotiated a purchase and sales agreement with the current owner, 2252 North Milwaukee owner LLC, for $625,000, which is in line with the appraised value. Happy to take any questions on this item.
I have no questions, Bill. Thank you.
Director Shaw, any questions? Director Rakeo?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No questions.
Chairman Barclay?
No questions.
Director Eady?
No question.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions.
May I now have leave to place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that this item be placed on the omnibus for board approval. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Shaw? Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes. Director Jakes, you may now proceed to agenda item number 5.
Agenda item 5 is the review of an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with City Colleges of Chicago for commercial learners permit training. And this is not Tom McComb.
No, I'm not Tom McComb. Distinguished members of the board, Chairman Barclay, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Alex Moreno, and I have the pleasure of serving as your Vice President of. I am here to request the renewal of an intergovernmental agreement between the CTA and City Colleges of Chicago. This agreement will provide funding for the Commercial Learners Permit training program through City Colleges of Chicago at Olive Harvey College for prospective CTA bus operator new hires. CTA and the City Colleges originally signed an agreement in 2023 and have hired 369 new bus operators since inception. The renewal of this program will continue to support a pathway to hire for individuals who request training assistance in obtaining their commercial learner's permit, which is one of the requirements to being hired as a bus operator at CTA. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Director Shaw, any questions? Thank you. Director Rakeo? Director Ortiz?
I just appreciate the partnership, so thank you.
Chairman Barclay?
No questions. Thank you.
Director Eady?
No questions.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions.
What's your name again? I'm sorry, Alex Moreno. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
Thank you. And now I have leave to place this on the omnibus for board approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that this item be placed on the omnibus for board approval. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay? Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes. Director Jakes, you may now proceed to agenda item number 6.
Agenda item 6, the order of business is the review of contracts numbered A1 through A3, which are contract awards for transit operations. I have no questions.
Are there questions from any other members of the board? Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
No question.
Director Ortiz? Chairman Barclay?
No question.
Director Eady?
Question.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions.
Next order of business is the review of contract number B1 and B2, which are contract awards for infrastructure. No questions.
Director Ja, any questions? Director Rakeo?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
Yes. Can I just get a quick summary on B2 in terms of the change order?
Moody, your Chief Infrastructure Officer again. B2, so when we talk about the Red Line Extension Program, that's the $5.7 billion overall kind of project that includes a series of subcontracts. The one that we most notably talk about is the design build contract for the fixed guideway, the stations and stuff that went to Walsh Vinci. We had a bunch of advanced package contracts that included demolition, utility relocation. One of them was for advanced earthwork. That was to clear and grade out the at-grade section from about 119th Street to 130th Street for both the main line work as well as the future yard and stop. At the time, we had structured it to de-risk some of the things around the design build contract and manage kind of cost and scope amongst the two big contracts, the yard and shop and the main line. We went out to market to compete on this opportunity, and we were unsuccessful in securing bidders. And to manage kind of the overall risk of the project and the program schedule, the most advantageous path forward was to add that scope and budget from the program into this design build contract with Walsh Vinci to keep advancing it on schedule. So that's what the change order is. This is scope that was previously programmed and budgeted for separately in the program that's being added as new scope to that contract.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman Barclay?
No questions.
Director Eady?
No question.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions.
Next order of business today is the review of contract numbers E1, which is a contract award for communications. I have no questions.
Director Ja, any questions? Director Rakeo?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No question.
Chairman Barclay?
No questions.
Director Eady?
No question.
Director Jakes, there are no further questions. We may now proceed to contract numbers G1 through G2.
I understand the staff has recommended that contract G1 be deferred for review and adoption to a later date yet to be identified. May I have a motion to defer?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that contract G2 be deferred. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja?
The G1 or
G2. G1, I'm sorry, G1 be deferred. Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Motion passes.
In regard to contract 2, are there any questions?
Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No.
Chairman Barclay?
No question.
Director Eady?
No question.
Director Jake, there are no questions. You may now proceed to contract I1.
Our next order of business is review of contract I1, which is a contract award for law. No questions.
Director Ja, any questions?
No questions.
Director Rakeo?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No questions.
Chairman Barclay? Director Eady?
No question.
Director Jakes, there are no further contracts recommended for review and approval.
Since there are no further questions on the contracts, may I have leave to place the 8 contracts on the omnibus?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the 8 contracts be placed on the omnibus for board approval. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo? Director Ortiz? Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Since there's no further business to come before the committee, may I have a motion to approve the omnibus and recommend the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the omnibus be recommended for board approval. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And finally, may I have are they out there for us? What do we do this time? And they're just there for you. It's a waste. I try to keep them at bay. I'm like, don't come here, Yeah, don't come here. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee meeting for March 11th, 2026 be adjourned. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo? Director Ortiz? Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes.
And let the record reflect, we started on time and we're ending at 9:56, Chairman.
I would like to call to order the meeting of the Chicago Transit Board for March 11, 2026. Georgette, please call the roll.
Director Ja. Here. Director Rakeo.
Present.
Director Ortiz.
Here.
Chairman Barclay.
Here.
Director
Transit
Eady.
Board for March.
Note for the record that Director Jakes is here, but he is taking a bio break right now.
What's the name? Edie?
Edie.
Edie.
No.
Excuse me, Director Eady.
Edie.
Our next order of business is public comment. Georgette?
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 public comments for today. I will call your name, and when I call your name, if you could please come forward. Each public comment speaker will have 3 minutes. They are timed. So please, just be mindful of that. And our first public speaker is Sheila Heineke.
Yeah, we'll go. Well, we're going to speak in order. Can we all be up here together? But we
No.
Okay. No, we will follow the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for welcoming us back. I'm Sheila Heineke. I am a advocate for harm reduction on public transit, and I'm thrilled to be here as a bearer of good news. Yes, I said good news.
Yeah.
And we want to set a celebratory tone here. So what I have are, these are little Amazon streamer things, and you hold them in your hand. I won't throw, don't worry. But they symbolize to us the stops of hope that have been created with Narcan machines, and also the ripple effect that is happening across the system because community providers are coming together. So we have 3 big wins to tell you about. I'm just going to introduce them, and then my colleagues will give you more detail. To date, as we complete 6 months of the pilot program, we have 3 big wins. Thousands of units of Narcan have been distributed from our 5 pilot vending machines. Hundreds of CTA riders have received education on recognizing overdose, how to use Narcan, and what organizations in their communities support harm reduction. And Chicago's Human Service Safety Net is being strengthened as organizations involved in the pilot connect with other long-established groups doing similar work in and around CTA stations. And I just want to emphasize, given the news today about the CTA and safety and federal oversight, that all of this adds to a sense of safety. I think what we're creating little by little through all these different efforts is a sense of community of people who utilize the CTA and the CTA itself. You'll hear shortly from my colleagues more about this effort. Tanya from Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, John from the Recovery Alliance, Chicago Recovery Alliance, and Fania from the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force. They'll give more specifics about the wins. But I want to take a moment to thank all of you, Chairman Barkley, Vice Chair Jakes, everyone on the CTA board, CTA leaders, including President Nora Learson, Pat Hosinski, Vice President of Communications, Todd Britt, Director of Legislative Affairs, and Tyler James in Equity and Engagement, for your openness in joining with advocates and your support in improving the pilot, including increasing CTA communication with riders through car cards, TV screens, and announcements. That is our ask today, is that we would like to share this good news more widely by engaging more robustly with CTA communication. Together, we are creating a ripple effect, again, embodied by our streamers, outward from the pilot stations and into the communities around them, where more people now know about life-saving Narcan and the human services that they and their loved ones can access. That is truly something to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heineke, for being here.
So much.
I know we have additional speakers, but I just want to recognize your content, your comments, and that we are committed to that work as well, of further showcasing the success of this work. And I know you're in communication with Kat on our team, but we're going to keep that effort going.
Our next public comment speaker is Fania Buford Berry.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Fania Burford-Berry. I'm the director of the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force. We're a coalition of 60 organizations that work with people who use drugs as well as are homeless. We have a deep care and concern for people who use drugs, and we want to connect them with treatment and recovery. And once again, we thank you all for supporting this project to get Narcan, Naloxone on the CTA with these vending machines. And once again, our ask is just simple. And basically, President Nora affirmed that we want a ridership campaign where we're asking that the riders, through the announcements on the monitors as well as through the car carts, know how to use Naloxone. It's important for them to know how to use Naloxone because when they know how to use it, if they see someone experiencing an overdose, they can save their lives. And what's wonderful about it is that everybody, right? Everybody has the opportunity to be a hero, you know? And so we, once again, thank CTA because you are the most essential service in our city, connecting thousands of Chicagoans every day. And unfortunately, we know overdoses can occur on the CTA. And we've seen in these first 6 months of this pilot project that overdoses actually citywide have been reduced by 40%. So if we keep this momentum up by supplying free Naloxone to the ridership, we will continue to see a decrease in overdoses. So once again, already we have the support. We want to launch a ridership communication campaign through the digital monitors and the car carts and placards. And we are so grateful for your support. And do you guys have any questions? All right. With that being said, I am done with my remarks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next public speaker is Tanya Fisher.
Good morning, and thank you to each of you board members for your service to our wonderful city of Chicago. My name is Tanya Fisher. I'm the Outreach and Education Manager at Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, the co-chair of the Narcan on the CTA work group, and a proud member of the Westside Opioid Task Force. The journalist Johann Hari writes that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but connection. In my professional experience, as well as the sister of someone who struggles with substance use, I've seen firsthand how powerful connection can be in supporting recovery. When the CTA made the decision to install Narcan vending machines in stations, it did something really important. It didn't just place life-saving medication in public places. It also created an opportunity for education and connection. And the social service community here in Chicago really showed up. Public transit is a part of our city's public health infrastructure. By making Narcan accessible in these spaces, the CTA helps ensure that help is available in those critical moments when someone is in crisis. Since launching the 5 Narcan sites called the Stops of Hope in September, we've been holding regular outreach events at each station that we call these events Resources on the Rails. These are resource fairs outside the stations where organizations focused on harm reduction, behavioral health, healthcare, food access, and other community partners, including elected officials, come together and meet people where they are. And we found that the people are curious. We've answered many questions from bus drivers about how to spot the signs of an overdose and when to use Narcan. We've showed riders how the Narcan machines work. And sometimes people have shared really personal stories as well. One man shared that his grandmother accidentally overdosed after surgery when she unknowingly took too many prescribed pain medications. He had no idea that Narcan even existed. We've connected people using the station as a warming center to homeless outreach teams, helped someone experiencing distressing mental health symptoms reach a mobile response team, helped a person with an injury.
Hold on one quick second. We could please ask the visitors in the back of the room. There are enough seats for everyone.
You tell that white boy what the fuck, don't tell me what. No. Hey, get out of my face. Here. Brush up against me, don't brush up against me. Brush up against me. Oh, you brushed up against me.
If you feel uncomfortable, you can take a seat so you don't have your back. I ask that all of the members who are here to watch the meeting, please have a seat, including those who have signs. Signs are not allowed in the boardroom meeting also. Please have a seat or leave the boardroom. Ms. Fisher, you may start over so we can hear your whole comment.
Thank you. Good morning, board. Thank you all for your service to our city of Chicago. My name is Tanya Fisher. I am the Outreach and Education Manager at Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, co-chair of the Narcan on the CTA work group, and proud member of the Westside Opioid Task Force. The journalist Johan Hari writes that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but connection. In my professional experience, and as the sister of someone who struggles with substance use, I've seen firsthand how powerful connection can be in supporting recovery. When the CTA made the decision to install Narcan vending machines in stations, it did something.
Just a minute. We're not gonna have you interrupted by any outsiders at this point. Excuse me. We're gonna take a 3-minute break until we can get a hold of the situation, and then you can give your remarks free and clear, okay?
You got this, you got this. Third time's a charm, third time's a charm.
Morning again. I am still Tanya Fisher. I'm the Outreach and Education Manager at Lutheran Social Services, co-chair of the Narcan on the CTA work group, and member of the Westside Opioid Task Force. The journalist Johan Hari writes that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but connection. In my professional experience and as the sister of someone who struggles with substance use, I've seen firsthand how powerful connection can be in supporting recovery. When the CTA made the decision to install Narcan vending machines in stations, it did something really important. It didn't just place life-saving medication in public spaces. It created an opportunity for education and connection. And the social service community in Chicago showed up. Public transit is a part of our city's public health infrastructure. By making Narcan accessible in these spaces, the CTA helps ensure that help is available in the critical moments when somebody is in crisis. Since launching the 5 Narcan sites, which we call Stops of Hope, in September, we've been holding regular outreach events at each station, which we call Resources on the Rails. These are resource fairs outside the stations where organizations focused on harm reduction, behavioral health, healthcare, food access, and other community partners, including elected officials, come together and meet people where they are. And the people we found are very curious. We've answered questions from bus drivers about how to spot signs of overdose and when to use Narcan, and shown so many riders how the Narcan machines work. Sometimes people have shared really personal stories. One man told us about his grandmother who accidentally overdosed after surgery when she unknowingly took too much prescription medication. We've connected people using the station as a warming center to homeless outreach teams, helped someone experiencing distressing mental health symptoms with a mobile response team, and helped a person with an infected wound find same-day primary care. Often these are moments when the conversations start. Someone asks a question, someone else shares a story, and before long, a small crowd gathers. People want to know how the machines work. They want to know what to do when someone is in crisis. They want to know how to help. It is often said that shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. Through this outreach, we are meeting people where they are, literally at the station and figuratively in their lives. And for a moment, the station becomes something more than a transportation hub that people pass through. It becomes a place where people can ask questions, learn life-saving skills, and connect to help without fear or judgment. Public transit connects people across our city every day. Making Narcan available and supporting outreach like this, the CTA has helped ensure that connection can also save lives. Because in the end, access to Narcan and connection saves lives. We'd like to thank you again for your leadership and helping us plant seeds of hope through our Stops of Hope. And to thank you, I've got some little seed packets to share with all of you. I'm also happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our next public speaker is John Wemming.
Morning.
Can you please spell that for us?
WERNING.
Thank you.
Yep. Morning.
Morning.
I want to thank the CTA board for holding space for us this morning. My name is John Werning. I'm the executive director of the Chicago Recovery Alliance. We are a community partner of the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force and passionate supporter of the CTA Narcan vending machine program. If you're not familiar with my organization, the Chicago Recovery Alliance is one of the oldest harm reduction organizations in Illinois and the oldest overdose education naloxone distribution organization in the country. Our late long-term executive director, Dan Bigg, started distributing naloxone to Chicago residents at risk of opioid overdose back in 1993, and subsequently started a national movement in the process. He then spent the following 25 years traveling around the world, advocating for accessible naloxone in high-need communities. However, while Dan was the face of early naloxone distribution, he was not alone. Spreading the message of radical compassion for people who use opioids took incredible support from the local community, many other organizational champions, and investment from Chicago's institutional leaders. We now have free and accessible Narcan throughout much of the United States because of the combined effort of Dan, the Chicago harm reduction community, and our municipal leaders. I do not think that this point can be overemphasized. The implementation of widely accessible Narcan across the United States would not have been possible without the grassroots collaborative efforts born here in Chicago. Unfortunately, we lost Dan in 2018, but I see his legacy thrive in what is being accomplished between the CRA, the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force, the CTA, and our local government leaders. In particular, the CTA Narcan vending machine program is an exceptional example of a community-led solution grown from the same collaborative spirit that Dan Big embodied. I know Dan would be proud that the city of Chicago, the city where naloxone distribution began, remains a national leader on innovative overdose prevention strategies. Sadly, we have a lot more work to do. While the Illinois overdose rates are showing signs of improvement, we still have high overdose fatalities throughout many underserved Chicago communities. Now is the moment to reinvest in community, strengthen the CTA Narcan vending machine program, and honor Chicago's exceptional contribution to overdose prevention. Again, I want to thank the board for the continued partnership on the incredible Narcan vending machine program. Of course, I won't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment speaker is Robert Jones. Good morning, Mr. Jones. You have 3 minutes.
Amen.
Morning.
Hi, my name is Robert Jones, and I am a speaker of Chicago. And my organization is called The Walking Preacher. That means I just go out and impact people's lives, not having material things, but words. But I just want to say to the CTA is, y'all doing an amazing job, and whatever goes on in Chicago, don't matter if it's struggle, everybody go through things. But one thing I will say about the CTA is y'all always doing a good job during the storm, the spring, the fall. It doesn't matter what day it is. It can be up and down. But I just want to say I love my city, and I just like y'all. I just love what y'all do, because people going through things, people broke through storms, but at the end of the day, the city of Chicago is always resilient. And I just thank y'all for that.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Our next public comment speaker is Roger Romanelli. Our last public comment speaker is Richard Boykin. Mr. Chairman, we've received 4 written comments, 1 from Georgia Leslie Thompson, 1 from Jamelia Han, and 2 from John Paul Jones. That concludes our public comments for today.
Thank you, Georgette. Our next item business on the agenda is our president's report, which will be given by Acting President Nora Lierz.
Morning, Chairman and Directors. Thank you. I want to start, as I often do, just a few key updates on service and ridership that you saw reflected as well in our revenue report. But ridership in the first 2 months of 2026 is up 4.6% compared to that same time in 2025, which is really notable given the winter months in particular, that our ridership continues to grow to that degree, especially with some real deep cold days that we had in those months. So we're excited to see that ridership and that growth there as well.
President Learson, they're bringing in those who are to be commended, and just because we have so much going on, we could normally hear you, but right now we're struggling. So if you could just wait until they have them seated, I think that would be great. Thank you. Thank you, President Lewis, and we appreciate your patience.
Absolutely. So I was highlighting the growth in ridership over the first 2 months of the year compared to last year, even with the cold winter months. And we know that's a good sign of things to come for the rest of the year. We also closely follow service enhancements that we've made to ensure it's bringing the ridership that we made them for. So 2 examples, at the end of 2025, we made 2 small but impactful enhancements for riders on the far north side, including Evanston, as well as on the south side. So we extended the number 93 at the end of last year, the California Dodge route, to the Logan Square Blue Line from the Kimball Brown Line. And this change is driving double-digit ridership growth this year, over 14%, or an additional 2,400 rides on those routes. So again, we're seeing an impact of those kind of minor in scale, but really important impacts of rider and service enhancements. We also extended at the end of 2025 the number 75 from the prior terminal at Damon to Western Avenue. And this is driving an 8% ridership growth in the first part of the year, or what is an additional 2,000 rides. So key impacts there and ridership growth that we really like to see continue. I want to transition for a few moments to recognize a tribute that CTA had on its system this past month. So over the past 2 weeks, since the passing of Reverend Jackson Sr., the nation has mourned the loss of the civil rights icon. And to honor that legacy for the past several weeks, and it's shown here on the screen, CTA has run digital ads on 400 digital screens across our rail system, which feature his empowering trademark statement, "I am somebody." The ad, which continues to run, reads the following: the CTA honors the life and enduring legacy of Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr., whose lifelong commitment to civil rights and economic justice echoes through the neighborhoods we serve. He inspired generations of Chicagoans to stand up, speak out, and move forward together. CTA riders embraced the ads on social media and have applauded its presence. And even Jesse Jackson Jr., the Reverend's son, reposted the tribute on his own social media. And I actually spoke directly with him about it at Rainbow Push at Reverend Jackson's viewing. So it's been particularly meaningful to use the CTA to honor Reverend Jackson, and it's particularly fitting, given his lifelong commitment to fairness and access and justice, which CTA also represents at its core. In closing, I wanted to recognize that yesterday, CTA submitted to the FTA its revised security enhancement plan. This plan laid out significantly increased law enforcement resources from the Chicago Police Department through our voluntary special employment program, as well as through the Chicago Police Department's public transportation unit. It also introduces Cook County Sheriff's Office presence onto CTA for deployment onto the rail system. The plan includes as well notably increased targets for crime reduction on CTA, with a particular focus on the incredibly important topic of protecting CTA's employees. Notably, the plan reinforces our longstanding multi-layered approach to security that also uses technology, enhances our physical environment, invests in social services, and moves forward our violence interruption and crisis responder pilot to further enhance the resources available on CTA. This plan came directly out of our longstanding strong commitment to public safety on CTA. And it's the product of our close partnership and commitment from the Chicago Police Department, our core law enforcement partner, and our new partnership with the Cook County Sheriff's Office. This news is the latest in over a year of unprecedented targeted initiatives to address crime on CTA, including our targeted missions on the Red and Blue Line, as well as visibility-focused missions like the Transit Rider Interaction Program, of which over 300 missions have taken place just since the end of January this year. All of this has been further supported by the Chicago Police Department's dedicated CTA Strategic Decisions Support Center, which launched last year and continues to produce strong results and quick, effective addressing of crime on CTA by CPD. We know from our work over the last year that when you have strong relationships with law enforcement partners, when you use the information and data you have from riders, from employees, and that you strategically deploy, it produces results for our riders and for our employees. Repeatedly, we have seen crime and incidents reduce when we send resources in a targeted, data-informed way and when we keep riders and employees at the center of our work. This plan presented a new forum and a new audience for CTA to demonstrate this work on such an incredibly personal issue to all of us. But that commitment was there before, and it will continue. With that, I will conclude my remarks, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you for your report. I wanted to echo what I shared during the briefing and commend your team for the work that went into submitting revised safety enhancement plan. I appreciate the staff's efforts to ensure the plan was completed and submitted in a timely manner. I would also like to acknowledge the collaboration of the Chicago Police Department and the Cook County Sheriff's Office in this effort. Coordination across these agencies will be critical to the successful implementation of this plan and to ensuring the safety of our riders and employees. Safety is strongest when our partners are working together. And I appreciate the partnership in this effort. Safety of our riders and employees is always our top priority. As the warmer months approach, getting this right will be especially important to continuing to build rider confidence. When people feel safe, they ride. Plan will be key to building that confidence. Thank you again to you and the team for your work. I look forward to receiving updates on the status of FTA's review plan, as well as continued progress on its implementation. Thank you. At this point, I will open it up to any other board members for comments.
Director Ja?
No comments, thank you.
Director Rakeo?
I want to join the chair in commending you all for the patience in responding back and forth to this request to improve safety and security, which are very important. I also want everybody to be very careful about taking advice or direction from a federal government with this track record in respecting the law and in enforcing the law, and with the chaos and the terror and the killings of ICE being just one example among hundreds. And so rather than that, I want to ask you again to keep walking the path that started 2 years ago and that brought together RTA, national experts, local stakeholders, including CPD, CTA workers, transit advocates, community-based organizations, and social service agencies. We were all together in a room and we're working collaboratively, not the way the federal government wants to work. And I hear there are at least 3 lines of action here. One that is about police, law enforcement, private security, technology. That's important. And also it's very important, another line, which is about social services, violence interrupters, transit ambassadors, and other people being involved in the system. And the third piece, which is about the physical environment. And I share with this board and with you many times that our stations, particularly at night, sometimes are not the most welcoming places. And I want to take them from dreadful to delightful. And I know this is a big dream here, but sometimes when you walk into those stations at night, the lighting, the look in itself is not that conducive to a safe environment. Same thing about bus stops, right? And these design solutions have to be above and beyond the refresh and renew program, which I love that we have, but we need more than that. A couple of things. One, I asked a few times, now that we have good data about where the crime is taking place, to do some concentrated pilots in those locations. I know we don't have yet the strategy and the money to do it everywhere, but we know there are some hot spots. Downtown, we talked about the Clark and Lake location being an iconic place with a lot of activity, good and bad. On top of that station, Google is building a headquarters. They should be part of the solution too. We have an opportunity here for the partnership, and also doing some interventions in the west and the south sides, again, in hot spots where we know what's going on, would be really timely right now. And then just a question, right? In terms of seeing substantial difference When will our riders see these improvements? Where will this be deployed first and more intensely? And what would this look like in the short term? Like how will we see these improvements in the short term? What can you tell us about these enhancements?
Certainly, much of the missions and activity in the report are already underway. We've been rolling those out since January in terms of the targeted missions, particularly the trip missions and the bus missions with the police department. So you will see, riders will see more police across our entire bus and rail system. It is very data informed, very much in the spirit of what you're describing, Director, in terms of finding hotspots and key locations. A lot of what we laid out in the report was our own analysis that when you look at our system, you do see clear hotspots and places to deploy across both our bus and rail system. I want to also highlight from the bus perspective, as I know that's a topic at issue today, what the report rolls out is a more sophisticated, dynamic way of approaching security on our bus system than ever before. So it rolls out 2 types of bus missions in coordination with the police department. Police will both be riding on buses in a targeted way at key locations that we've been directed by employees and our own data. Those are bus ride-along missions. And there's a second new concept, which is a bus safe corridor mission, where we will have police on the street at bus stops along routes where we know that employees are looking for extra support. So you're going to see police deploying in a new way, in a targeted way across the system. The resources from all of these places are underway and ramping up and will continue to over the next several weeks. But you're going to see resources deploy in a way that also keeps visibility at the center of the work to make sure that riders see the work and feel that security from the resources, which is the intention here.
Thank you. What about the other component, which is more about social service provision, violence interruption, other people-oriented ways of tackling the issues? What are our riders and our workers want to see differently?
Sure. So the Safe Ride Specialist pilot is underway and getting put together right now. So we issued an RFP, and I can have staff kind of give the latest, Molly Poppy. And we got strong responses, strong interest in that from both the violence interruption and crisis response fields. And that's very actively being put together, and riders would see that deploy later this year.
So we had about 5 applicants for the violence interrupter, and we had about 10 applicants for the crisis intervention. We've reviewed those applications and have moved forward a number of applications for both sets of interviews. We'll be doing interviews and phase 2 review and presentations with CTA staff next week for violence interrupters. And then the week following will be crisis intervention. We have 2 groups that have moved forward for violence interruption, and then 5 groups that have moved forward for crisis intervention. And then once we do those presentations over the next 2 weeks, we will then caucus and do a final decision and then select the organizations that we will then negotiate with for a professional services agreement. The goal is to have that negotiated over the spring and then be able to start deploying resources this summer.
How fast can we see these improvements in our buses, in our trains, in our system?
Yeah, the goal is to get live by July is where we're trying to target for. Obviously anytime you go into negotiations, it can take a while, but we've got really strong commitment from the individuals or the organizations that have submitted, and there's a lot of momentum internally. So I feel pretty good that we would hit a July timeframe of having the professional services agreements negotiated and starting to talk deployment.
And what about selecting just a few, just starting routes or buses or stations to start testing this whole hands-on-deck approach while we wait for both?
Yeah, we can take a look at that and see if there's something that we can try to leverage. There's other partners that we've talked to that maybe aren't going through the innovation studio process, or sort of we can take it through a slightly different process. But I think we can see if there's things that we can do to accelerate and move things forward faster. Leveraging some of our existing partnerships like Thresholds and Haymarket. We can talk about that and see what we could do to accelerate.
Okay, I want to let my other colleagues comment too. I want to again commend you for the effort and also express impatience about these partnerships and also remind you that every time CTA has extended the hand and asked the nonprofit community, see what happened earlier today, everybody shows up to help out. So please continue down that route.
I'm going to echo those sentiments. Thank you to everyone who helped put that together to get it out. I know timing was challenging and so were the requests. I also challenged the opportunity to stand on our own ground of saying, you know, continuously we get requests from the national government that we have our own criteria as to where and how we need to adjust. On that note, in terms of crime spots and hotspots, I believe a lot in partnerships. And so I definitely echo the opportunity to partner with community organizations. I know some are citywide, but they are a very local, extremely great organization at the hyper local level. And I think for those hotspots, it would be really important to connect with those organizations because they're probably doing that kind of work anyway. And so really partnering with them to understand those specific hotspots and how can we align resources. I believe in contracting as well as partnering and leveraging the resources that are probably already in place for those communities who are experiencing different levels of investment and disinvestment. So I really would encourage all of us, just as we have government relationships, I think there's a great opportunity to do neighborhood relationships at the hyper local level. So I really would love to support those efforts. And if there are organizations who are willing to partner as well, which I'm sure there are, I think that is and also really reliable and important task for us to follow. Last but not least, I just really want to echo the sentiment of bus and rail. So many of our communities are not served by rail. And so really being able to understand sort of the needs in our bus system that reach other communities that most rail doesn't, I think is also really important. So thank you again for your leadership. Thank you again for all the staff who has worked diligently and all of our frontline workers as well for all of their work.
Thank you.
Director Jakes?
I have no more questions.
Director Eady?
No questions, but just wanted to commend you for remaining diligent and in terms of the security enhancement plan and bringing together CPD, Cook County Sheriff, and those other agencies. Just want to commend you for your leadership. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I know you wanted to recognize some of our workers.
Yes, excited to move on to the next aspect of our agenda here. So members of the board, today we have the pleasure of being joined by some of the finest employees at the Chicago Transit Authority. And at this time, it is my privilege to introduce you to 20 employees who received multiple customer commendations in 2025. These employees are among the very best of the best at our agency. And that's not my opinion. They've been praised directly from our customers themselves, who took time to reach out to CTA and commend these employees for their professionalism, their kindness, and their commitment to ensuring that our riders have the best CTA travel experience. From the words of our riders, these employees are kind, caring professionals who create a sense of community and who turn stressful moments into positive experiences. Those words capture exactly what make each of them so special. They are not simply just doing their jobs. They do them with excellence. Many go well beyond anything found in their job descriptions. They are exactly the kind of employees who represent the very best of CTA and the services we strive to provide every day. Each of these individuals received multiple commendations from our riders over the past year. So as I walk through and announce them, I will also acknowledge employees who have over 20 years of service with CTA. To our employees, when I call your name, please stand to be recognized and proceed along the wall to be photographed with the board and myself. Beginning with 2 commendations each, we have Jamar Jackson, Rapid Transit Operator. And Albert Mitchell, Rapid Transit Operator. Albert is a CTA veteran with 25 years of service.
Right.
With 3 commendations, joining us today are Louis Frontani, bus operator. Christopher Keaton, bus operator. Rodney Perry, bus operator. Ryan Henson, rapid transit operator. And Annette Dorsey, customer service representative. With 4 commendations, we have Atmos Shaw, bus operator. Reginald Smith, bus operator. And Reginald has 20 years of service with the CTA. Corey Washington, bus operator. Corey is a 26-year CTA veteran. And Bonita Humphrey, customer service representative. Bonita has an incredible 35 years of service. With 5 commendations, we have Daryl Cox, bus operator. And I just have to pause here because, as many of you that ride CTA will say, when you have it, this is my CSA. I see every morning, and she sees me rush through the turnstiles at my stop. So Kiana Bradley Davis. Say, I'm one of those 5 commendations. Her smiling that she gets every day. To Mary Dantzler, customer service assistant. And Kelly Holmes, customer service representative. Kelly has 23 years of service with the CTA. Six commendations. We have Thaddeus Moody, janitor in rail station management. And I just want to go back to a previous employee just to make sure we recognize them. So with 2 commendations, we have Anthony Lewis, bus operator. With 7 commendations and being recognized here for the 6th time at our board meeting, we have Alexa McCracklin. With 10 commendations, we have Ben Johnson, customer service representative. And finally, with an impressive 11 commendations in 2025, in less than 1 year of service with this CTA, we have Jose Abarca, bus operator. congratulate all of you for this recognition. And what has been quite heartwarming for me is I know many of you from the field and from being out. And I'm not surprised to see you here with the energy that you bring to every single interaction at CTA. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you.
For us. And two process.
Right, you want my tickets, you get on it, Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hi. No problem. Could you just scooch to the middle? Sorry, in the white, yes, sorry. Just right next to you, yes. Just scooch a little bit more that way. Perfect, right there is great. Thank you so much. Okay. Big smiles, 3, 2, 1. Yes. And I'm going to take a video, so just keep smiling. Smiling. Beautiful.
All right, everybody, next up, I'm gonna have the CTA camera. So bring the shots. Okay. Focus right here.
3, 2. Yes.
One last one, we got Cooper here with Block Club Chicago.
He's vlogging, but thank you. I appreciate what Block Club too. You know, don't want the stolen bell thing.
Good. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Congratulations, congratulations.
See you on next year. See you on next year.
No, you will.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. And you look like you're just 25 years old. Congratulations. Oh. Everybody did. Yeah, I know you paid that.
You're doing.
Happy Wednesday. You keep my brother. Well, see you next year.
Sir, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Nora. And even though they have left, this is always one of those times when we are all moved as board members to see the hardworking employees who oftentimes go unrecognized for all their exemplary service to our city. So I want to, again, thank them each. I'm sorry that they made that exit, but on behalf of the board, I want to thank all of them and thank the citizens for nominating them as well. They're recognizing their hard work and their diligence. So thank you for your report this morning. Our next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of February 11, 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the minutes from February 11th, 2026 be approved as submitted. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Yes. Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Our next item on the agenda is executive session. Sister Von Baker, it is my understanding that today we do have an executive session.
Chairman Barclay, there will be an executive session today pursuant to meetings at 5 ILCS 120/211 and 20.
We'll now entertain a motion to recess into executive session for the reasons stated by council.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the board will move into executive session for the reasons stated by council. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja, Director Rakeo, Director Ortiz. Yes. Chairman Barclay,
Yes.
Director Jakes.
Yes.
Director Eady. The motion passes.
open session.
Moment, please.
Okay. I thought we were ready.
Ready, thank you. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the board return to open session, and it is 11:29 a.m. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Yes. Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Eady?
Yes.
Motion passes.
In item 6A, the board reviewed the closed session meeting minutes for February 11th, 2026.
And please have a motion to approve the closed session minutes for February 11th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the closed session minutes from February 11th, 2026 be approved. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes.
We will now address board agenda item 7, board matters. Georgette, do we have any board matters today?
Mr. Chairman, there is one board matter for consideration today, and that is to approve an ordinance designating Ashley Newhouser as the Chicago Transit Authority's acting ethics officer.
And please have a motion to approve the ordinance designating Ashley Newhouser as the Chicago Transit Authority's acting ethics officer.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the board approve the ordinance designating Ashley Newhouser as the Chicago Transit Authority's acting ethics officer. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Our next order of business. The next order of business is a report from the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget.
Mr. Chairman, the committee met earlier this morning and approved the February 11th, 26 committee minutes and reviewed the finance report. Committee reviewed the following 2 ordinances. 1, review of an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real property located at 2718 West Street, George's Court in Chicago for the All Stations Accessibility Program on the Blue Line. Number 2, review of an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with City Colleges of Chicago for commercial learners permit training. Committee also reviewed 9 contracts. Committee placed the 2 ordinances and 9 contracts on the omnibus. Committee approved and recommended for board approval 2 ordinances and 9 contracts. This concludes the report of the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee.
Excuse me, Director. The committee approved 8 contracts, deferred 1
Okay,
ordinances.
all right. Add that to my report. Thank you. Thank you, Georgette.
I will now entertain a motion to approve omnibus as corrected.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the committee approve the report of the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja? Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Our next order of business is a construction report from Bill Mooney, our Chief Infrastructure Officer, and Juan Pablo Prieto, our Director of Diversity Programs.
Morning. Once again, I'm Bill Mooney, your Chief Infrastructure Officer, and I'm joined by
Morning, Directors. Juan Pablo Prieto, Director of Diversity Programs.
We will be focusing this month on a new project, which is our partnership with the Chicago Department of Transportation around the State and Lake Station Reconstruction Project, which is considered part of our All Stations Accessibility Program, and a really key station for access for the entire city and the rest of the supported system. So this project is unique in the fact that it's not one we didn't contract to it. We didn't lead the design effort on it. It is a longstanding relationship we've had with the city of Chicago on the downtown stations, many of which they are actually the owner of record on. They actually seek funding for these station renovations and have advanced projects along this line. The circumstance, the Chicago Department of Transportation is executing this project, and we are coordinating our efforts around that. We are managing their impact on our system. We are certainly opining on the design and other such things, the elements that we ultimately own the operation maintenance on in the long term, but they are actually leading the construction effort on this. Similar to Damon Station, which was an infill, we do report it as part of our system, as part of the program that we ultimately do coordinate with and want you to be aware of. So at the beginning of this year, they closed the station just shortly after the holidays for a 3-year period. So this is a historical station, dates back to the original 1890s. It had numerous challenges around its state of good repair. The width of access on the platform was really challenging. The height from relationship of the newer modern track system that sits there and the old platform and the rail car interface. So anyone that was there would have seen that there was a pretty 5-6 inch gap as you were trying to get up and into a train in that location. But as it is a key transfer point to the red line from the loop, that it really had a need to be connected to it. So the project deals with a full modern reconstruction of the station, tearing it down entirely, rebuilding up from the ground, making it fully accessible, meeting all the modern criteria we expected, expanded with the platforms, multiple elevator transfer points. Project also brought in an element that wasn't initially envisioned. That was one of the things we advocated very strongly for as an agency to be included with this, which was an accessible transfer to the red line. So the original concepts around this project did not have an elevator that went down to connect the lake station on the red line there to the State and Lake Station for that free transfer. And so that was a thing that we worked with them on, and they were able to incorporate it. While it's not a direct transfer that you go from the elevator to the subway, it is a street transfer that does create that access point. As you've kind of experienced historically there, which is a huge win, I think, for our system and our users. So most of the work that they've been doing over the last couple months as they've been shutting down is taking down this historical element. So the first thing that kind of happens when we take down a station, this is we strip out kind of signage, benches, garbage cans, all these recoupable things that we may reuse in our maintenance programs or may have some value to others. And then they start taking apart piece by piece. So here you can see that iconic Chicago Theater sign in the background as they're dismantling. This work is occurring at night, as it is exceptionally disruptive, either under flagging protection where we have people protecting the workers and train movement around that, or while the loop is asleep, right? So that 1 to 4 a.m. window every night is pretty much open for them to get this work in there, and they can get the high cranes in there.
Good photo, Bill.
This one? Yeah, that's good.
Construction report photos.
I think we should do a whole calendar of them, right? So one of the other big things with this, right, is crane access. So not only is it challenging to do the work around the loop and all our interactions there, but you have to plant a crane in the middle of Lake and State, which is kind of a busy corner in Chicago. And so facilitating the construction around the rest of that corridor is challenging. So this, again, is why a lot of this work is occurring at nights in the foreground. So here's, again, some other demolition shots, which, again, is primarily the big focus right now is getting that down. If you go out there as of when I was out there Friday afternoon, there was like one span, which is about a 40 feet section of platform steel left. Otherwise, pretty much all of it's gone. And there's like a base of a stairwell left. I think actually most of that went away this weekend. And then here you can see kind of the station is gone. So this is looking north on, this is actually looking south on State Street. You're north of where the station historically was. You can see the main station houses are gone. You can see the stairwell still in place there. And then just on the other side of this, just south of Lake Street, there's a pretty large excavation starting. So they are waiting on their final building permits to start the full build. They've got permits to start doing advanced utility work and do the demolition, but they're waiting for the final sign off from the buildings department to start the excavation for that elevator to the subway. There is a lot of stuff in the street here. You would not be surprised thinking about all the buildings and everything there, about all the electrical lines, all the water lines, all the gas lines, all the AT&T and Comcast and everything that's buried in the street. So a lot of this first year of work for them is actually repositioning that in the street to be able to create the access points they need to be able to go into the subway. We also run connections for our traction power system, not only to the elevated structure there. We have a substation right adjacent to it. We run to both subways that way. So there's a lot of stuff there that they've got to work around. So you'll see some tedious photos for a while. You'll start to see some of the things that you typically see on our projects. On RPM, you saw at the beginning, you'll see on our lease shortly where we start growing caissons. So the foundations for the new elevated structure will be kind of a big thing coming up there. And then you'll start to see kind of new construction in the stations. So that's our key focus project. And with that, I will pass it on to JP to talk a little bit about our outreach.
Thanks, Bill.
Sorry, I lost it.
Yeah. Good morning, directors. In February, we hosted and attended a number of events to inform small businesses and residents on the contracting and careers opportunities on CTA projects. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the winter semi-annual workforce outreach. On February 4th, we hosted this event where over 150 attendees at the Breakthrough Familyplex heard a presentation about our workforce initiatives and upcoming opportunities on our projects. Additionally, they heard from Redefined Southside Partners joint venture, the construction manager for the Red Line extension, who has open positions and was actively seeking residents of economically disadvantaged areas to apply. After the presentation, the attendees were able to network with contractors, all of our workforce partners, and the building trade unions who were there to find their path to either start or continue their career. That concludes our report for this month. We're happy to answer any questions.
So any questions on Staten Lake or what JP highlighted in our outreach events or any of the other projects in the program? We're glad to take them at this time.
Questions? No questions.
On Staten Lake, I think it would be helpful to see the final design. It's pretty impressive what they're trying to do. But I hate to be the guy bringing up this issue, but how are we going to deal with the pigeons situation in such a huge glass structure that we are?
Yeah, so I will be glad in next month's report, and I apologize. Usually we do that when we introduce a project, and I should have included it this month, but we'll get you some of the renderings of the finished product. It is an architectural feat of show for a gateway station, this glass dome that they built around it. So how you deal with the pigeons is kind of a multifold thing, and we require, so a lot of what goes into these documents, even though they are leading these designs, is what we call our infrastructure design construction manual or our criteria manual. So there are specs for what you require when you design things for us as the basis for their design documents. And we put those onus on the designer to identify locations for roosting and come up with mitigating measures. Staten Lake is unique about how they design the structural elements for this canopy to design out a lot of those roosting elements. There are not a lot of cross members that are holding this. It is a kind of a big sweeping tubular structure that is standalone versus a lot of our stations where you see kind of those cross branch things that become the roosting elements that then we have to design either metal plating that kind of prevents the roosting or the trip line wire that goes in there or spikes or other such things. I will say broadly, no matter how smart we are on designing around pigeons, it is astonishing how resilient a creature they are and what they can find to do. And one of the biggest challenges we have on anything is not the design, it is the nature of the culture around it. If you go to Belmont and Fullerton on the Brown Line, they are almost identical redundant lead stations. If they're almost mirrors of each other. They were designed by the same architect, they were built by the same contractor. You go to Belmont and the amount of effort we put in to keep pigeons away from Belmont compared to your experience at Fullerton, which is not very far away and climately close to the lake and all those other types of things. And what is the big difference is there is a community of people that feed the pigeons at Belmont and they're not at Fullerton, right? So one of the largest challenges at Clark and Lake has very little to do with the design. The design has some real challenges about roosting that we've been battling for a lifetime. It has to do with the amount of food that used to come out of that food court out of SOIC when it was there, and what was left on the platform is scraps, and it just draws the pigeons know there's stuff there, and then they become a family around it. So I think to your original question, there was a lot of thought put into how you manage around some of those elements in design. I think if you look at Washington Wabash, which was a Scott-led project, in there you'll see, even though with some large canopy and architectural features there, they addressed a lot of those similar concerns with that canopy as well.
Glad to hear, because I'm guessing the cleaning would be on us, right?
Yes. Once they cut a ribbon, it becomes our keys to drive, right? So we spent a lot of commentary about the long-term operation and maintenance of this. And one of the conversations we're actually having right now is the type of glass they're using. And we're talking to our vendors about sourcing that glass. Can we get it easily with lead time? So as we decide on the final product that goes in there, we know it's something we can replace and maintain in the long term. So
glad to hear your honor.
Other questions? Director Ortiz?
No.
Director Chase?
No.
Director Eady? Chairman Barclay, I believe there are no additional questions.
Thank you. Our final order of business is new business. Georgette, any new business?
Chairman Barclay, there is no new business.
Under new business, I just wanted to recognize and acknowledge 25 years of service for Adrienne Brown. She just completed that 25 years. She started as an intern and is still very much with us. So I just want to take the time to thank her for her
That's good.
service and appreciate all the efforts that she makes to help all of us on the board.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Thank you.
She was in the room.
Can you go get her for a second?
I can go get her.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you all for your patience. Almost done.
Patience, Jake says that.
That's for his patience. I give you my water.
Like, you know, my meetings are always nice and saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Spirit. Your meetings, not so much.
Run up and see what they ain't gonna.
Right.
Adrienne Brown, we just want to thank you for your 25 years of service to the CTA.
Thank you.
We couldn't be here without all of your help on a daily basis for all of our board meetings. We appreciate you. Thank you for being part of CTA since you were an intern and staying with us all throughout. CTA is better because of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Something about a $300 Gibson gift card. That's what I thought I would say.
You know,
For all of us.
Yeah.
I will cover dinner at Gibson's. I'm the chairman.
That's good. Hey. I've been here 7 years. Thank you.
Since there's no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn the Chicago Transit Board meeting of March 11, 2026?
Second.
It's moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Eady, that the board meeting of March 11, 2026 be adjourned. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Ja.
Yes.
Director Rakeo. Director Ortiz.
Yes.
Chairman Barclay.
Yes.
Director Jake.
Yes.
Director Eady.
Yes.
The meeting is, the motion passes.
Thank you.
All right.